Welcome to the Tech on Toast podcast. We are the home of hospitality tech. The Tech on Toast podcast is brought to you today by our friends at Lightspeed. The holidays are here and your restaurant is buzzing, but are you ready for the rush? The festive season is make or break time for many restaurants, filled with non-stop tableside service, kitchen chaos, and complex reservations. But what if you had a secret weapon? Well, Lightspeed is that weapon. It's the ultimate point of sale and payments platform that helps your team deliver seamless service and incredible experiences. Imagine your staff taking orders and payments right to the table with Tableside, or having your front and back of house perfectly in sync during peak hours. Wouldn't that be nice? Lightspeed gives you the tools to not only survive the holidays, but truly shine, all while saving time, reducing errors, and keeping guests coming back for more. This season, let your tech do the work for you. Close the year strong with Lightspeed Restaurant.
Inpulse is basically a very comprehensive, all-in-one, AI-powered inventory and purchasing management platform for restaurant and bakery networks.
Maritxu is a bakery that is a family-run recipe, basically, in London.
And they realized that there was a whole world that could be automated thanks to
100%.
AI.
Yeah.
And not be complicated for the team to use. And I think Inpulse was the answer for the questions.
Because I think there's a lot of bad data in hospitality. That's my opinion.
Yeah.
I think a lot of restaurants have poor data.
The best data that they can have in order to make the right decision.
Did you say 90% accuracy? You're
Yes,
at least
yes.
90%
Yes.
accurate.
We then invest a lot in support for our customers.
But actually, human plus AI, I think, is the right way to apply in this industry anyway.
Allow us to focus on what matters.
Yeah.
I think is operationally and the client.
Welcome to the next episode of the Tech on Toast podcast. And today I'm joined by two guests. I'm going to get this right now. So ladies first. I'm joined by Laure Joyeux.
Yes, hi.
Is that close enough, Laure?
That is close enough.
Partnerships and International Expansion Manager from Impulse. And also we're joined by Italo Vendramini.
Yes. Italo Vendramini, yes.
Italo Vendramini. Look, everyone who listens to this every week will understand this is a big deal for me. And you're head of operations at Maritxu.
Maritxu, yes.
Can you say it again for me?
Maritxu.
Maritxu, very cool. So look, before we get into it, explain what Maritxu is. What kind of business are you?
Maritxu is a bakery that is a family-run recipe, basically, in London. The couple that was in Lazio and Lucia, they started baking from home, so they bought the family recipe from Lucia's side to London, which is only 4 ingredients, a specific way of baking it to caramelize the top and become very creamy in the middle, and became a hit in the UK.
Note to self, don't do these podcasts before lunch. Sounds amazing.
Yeah.
It's cheesecake, is it?
Cheesecake, that's correct.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we do the traditional flavor, and then we just switch around special
From
flavor.
the Basque country, is that right? What
Basque,
I was doing some, yeah.
and Bilbao, yes, that's correct, yes.
Very nice. Well, lovely to meet you. And how long have you been in the UK? Are you obviously not from where are you from originally?
Brazil, yes,
Okay.
North Brazil. In the UK, the last 15 years.
Oh, wow. So you're pretty much...
More or less.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Always in London?
London, I lived outside a bit in Milton Keynes,
Okay.
couple of years quickly, the roundabout city,
Okay.
and I came down to London again. Yeah.
Well, welcome to the podcast. Lovely to have you here. And Laure, let's talk about you first before we talk about the product, because obviously you have a lovely accent. Where are you from originally?
I'm from France. Thank
Okay.
you for the accent.
You're welcome. Well, I'm from Liverpool, so mine's a bit boring. So yeah, I appreciate a foreign accent when it's nice to listen to. And tell me a little bit about your background. So have you always been in tech, or is this something you've come into?
It's pretty new. Well, I've been working at Impulse for 4 years, but before that, I used to work in a consulting company in the Parisian business district. So nothing to do with tech, nothing to do with food. And right after COVID, I just decided that I wanted for a change and joined Impulse, which at the time was a company of 13 people.
Right.
And yeah, it was the beginning of the tech adventure.
And I was going to say, and you must, obviously being French, you probably love your food, I would imagine, and you're a big foodie. What's it like working with the industry? Because it's quite, I think a lot of people get into technology, especially in hospitality, kind of do that because they enjoy eating out, they love drinking, whatever it might be, and they love being part of the industry. What's it been like for you, kind of just experiencing the industry firsthand like that?
Yeah, apart from working as a consultant, when I was doing my studies, I also worked as a waitress in restaurants and coffee shops. So I had the operational part in mind. And on the other side, I also love going to restaurants, basically. So joining a food tech company was, for me, a way to combine both, of course, the tech side, the foodie side, and also the operational, helping operationals with tech.
Yeah, and I think everyone has to do that bit of waiting, right? Everyone has to do. I mean, I was a waiter once as well, but I think I worked all my way up to on the board at some point in some company. But Italo, when you're looking at technology, because obviously, how long have you been at this particular company?
Particularly now with Maritxu is 6 months.
6 months.
Yes.
So and have you bought technology before in your career, or is this the first time you're at the front, kind of buying technology?
Implementing one technology before, I didn't have made the decision before, but I did help with like Mama implement the kiosks rollout with them, and that was, I think, the biggest project that we ever had after COVID. In relation to tech.
And what led you down the road to this point then to meet these lovely people at Inpulse?
Well, I think Inpulse is the final answer for me when I look up to the market and I see we want something that our operation is so simplistic and straightforward. So we want something as well that will help us on the background to maintain that simplicity, but as well give us accurate numbers that will maintain and not be complicated for the team to use. And I think Impulse was the answer for the question that tick all the boxes.
And did you have an inventory solution before Impulse? You don't have to tell me who they are, but did you have one?
Yes.
Or didn't you have nothing? Did you have nothing?
The owners had tried before to implement different ones, but never was successful with it. So we just put it on hold until we find something that would help us not only to start with it, but as well to look for the production growth that we want. And
I'm interested to understand, before we get into the actual product and understand what the product does, how do you find new tech? Because there's so much of it, and in this category particularly is quite interesting, right? Because I think up to 3 years ago, this category was probably underrepresented.
Yes. You had the same old people out there doing their,
I was going to say, I won't say it. But there's one particular really big company that was doing inventory a lot when I was in my career anyway. And how do you go to market then, in the sense of how do you find, is it just like going on Google and having a look around?
The first thing will be word of mouth. And there is always that, I think it's most reliable thing that is out there when you talk with people that is working in the industry. So they will give you a hint on, I've been working with X, Y, Z, and those work fine. Those are the good part of it. Those are the bad and the ugly. So you make your mind around that, and then you do a bit of research as well. Go on blogs, YouTube, and then try to Tech on Toast and try to get some information. But it's true, because I did came across your channel on YouTube as well when you were talking about different of those suppliers.
You'll be on there soon.
and then you make your mind. I think you meet the people, and then you try to see if the tech is right for you, and as well the support that will come with it.
I'll come back to that, because that's a really interesting point about not just the tech, the relationship as well. And Laure, before we get into it too deep, tell us a bit about the product. So we've never met Impulse before. What does it do? How can it help you?
Broad question.
You could be as succinct as you want.
Impulse is basically a very comprehensive, all-in-one, AI-powered inventory and purchasing management platform for restaurant and bakery networks.
Nailed it. Yes, I go.
So the company was created in 2018. It's a French-based company, but now expanding into the UK market with our first UK clients, here represented by Italo. And what's very particular about our product is that back then in 2018, we were the first ones to use AI algorithms to generate very precise sales forecasting that will then fuel all of the other modules within the tool. So pre-filling order recommendations, adjusting prices, and making a very automated tool that will enable field teams to do daily operations super easily and provide HQ teams with reliable data in real time to make the right decisions.
And you said 2018 was it when you first?
Yeah.
You were early.
Yeah, the two founders of the company were very early. They did studies in AI, informatics, and applied mathematics, wanted to create a tool using AI, which was at the time visionary, and started off as trying to create a company in marketing and ads. This didn't work, and they did interviews with restaurant managers, understood that these operationals were handling a lot of operations based on their intuition or using pen and paper, and they realized that there was a whole world that could be automated thanks to
100%.
AI.
Yeah.
So that's where the idea of the company came from.
I still think this category is even though there's probably 5 or 6 players now, including yourselves, who are in this category that are making some noise. I still think there's a whole vast array of restaurants and bars and hotels well, I know there are, who are still on pen and paper or still on really old, outdated systems. What's been the big difference, Italo, from, I suppose, from pre-Impulse to Impulse, not après, they haven't left, but, in terms of your journey so far, I suppose, what are the key differences that the product's made for you?
It's a matter of make the operation straightforward for us. And as I said before, we want to have reliable data in real time. That's the most important part. And I think partnership with Impulse help us to get that, at the end of a single day, we do our stock check, and that is accurate as it can be. Always depending on the team and how they count and how they input it, but then it gives us that certainty on the numbers that were spit out for us, on the numbers of cakes that we need to produce and the numbers of items that we need to buy from our suppliers is 90% accurate, or even more than that, so we don't even need to touch it, and then allow the team to have more time to deal with the customers and as well to deal with the production itself.
And how quickly did you trust? Because I have this really interesting, I was doing a conference the other day and they were talking about employees trusting AI, and how quickly did your team go? Because often if I'm a baker or a chef and I'm sitting there, I make this thing every day, then all of a sudden a computer's telling me, actually, you need to make more because you're not reaching your full opportunity. How quickly did they trust that because that was right, and how quickly did they get to 90%, or did you have to coach some people along the way?
For us, it was a bit funny because when the numbers start spitting out, it does match with what we used to do, which is update later with the team. So let's say we have a production of 10 today, and then late in the evening we would say, we need another 5, 6, 7, which is a 50% more on those. And with weeks coming in through with Impulse, it was just the correct number from the beginning. And it's like, okay, you are adapting after just a small margin, I would say.
I think it's a huge point, and I think that because AI is still relatively new not for your founders, but new for a lot of people who have been trained through ChatGPT or whatever they've used, or OpenAI. Do you feel the same, that people are they scared to take that leap to trust the results? Because I think it's absolutely crucial, right? If you can give people that kind of foresight of saying, look, you need to produce X amount more of this, and you'll make more money basically and less waste. Does it take people a bit of a journey to get there?
Yes, it did. But what we see is that in recent years, it's getting faster and faster. So a few years ago, it was hard to talk to restaurant owners about AI, and now everyone wants to get into it.
Yeah, now they want you to,
and same for bakeries. They're a bit late, let's say, compared to restaurants, but bakeries are getting there. And when we talk about AI, we like to call ourselves as co-pilots. So our objective is not to replace the manager, because he knows his business best, obviously. We want to provide them with the best data that they can have in order to make the right decisions and help them save time and basically make informed and accurate decisions for the entire network. So once we explain that, it makes a lot of sense, and it really eases everyone's daily operations.
And how quickly is the machine learning kicking in? Like, is it so I guess you take a load of data from the customer, you put it into the back end of your tool, and how quickly are you kind of at the point where you're like, right, we're ready to go? I mean, is it instant?
Yes. So no, it will depend on how long the business has been running. So for instance, if we launch a client who has a business running for, let's say, the past 2 years, we're able to get the history of sales of the past 2 years, which will enable us to have very precise forecasting from day one. Because our forecasting is based, of course, on history of past sales. So the trends of the coming day, of the past days, of the past weeks, of the past Thursdays, if it's a Thursday, etc. We also cross-reference the history of sales with external events, such as weather forecasting, sports events, or any promotions. Everything is geolocated, so each store, each site will have its own forecasting depending on its own events. And so basically, if we have historical data, we have accuracy from day one. If the site has just opened.
Because I think there's a lot of bad data in hospitality. That's my opinion. I think a lot of restaurants have poor data from legacy systems or whatever it might be. But so if you're faced with that, it takes a bit longer, I presume?
It takes a bit longer. We have a data team that will set up a set of algorithms specifically designed for this site, for this client, and it will take our tool, let's say, 2 to 3 months to be very accurate, but as it's doing machine learning, it will keep on improving it with time. And we end up to 95% accuracy in most of our clients.
And I think one of the things, Italo, is when Italo.
Yes, right.
Italo. Sorry, I'll get that bit. But I think one of the things is that because we have such a high turnover of teams in hospitality, just the nature of the business, right? Yeah. Whether you're managing well or not, the reason they leave, they take that knowledge that you're talking about with them. So they know that it was a wedding on this day that did that to sales. They know that it was a storm, I don't know, Agatha that happened, you know? Yeah. So I think this kind of technology is going to help you guys, I suppose, plan. Is that where you see the big advantages here, that actually you can not relax, but you can be confident that you've got tech that will keep you on the right track, as it would be?
Yes, it allows us to focus on what matters. Yeah. I think is operationally and the client. And for us, it made a big change was on the availability for the customers as well. We had a problem in the past that we will underproduce most of the time. And
that's through the fear of
and
wasting money.
Everything is fresh made, and the cake takes 48 hours to get to the client. And as you guess, bakery is not everyone that comes up perfect. So there is that margin of error as well, and everything that goes with it. So for us was a matter of getting those numbers coming through as exactly as possible, so we could allow all our distribution channel to be open all the time. There was a problem that we were having before. We had to close, delivery channels because we didn't have enough to go through. We prioritized the ones in the shop.
Now, and I think you mentioned, did you say 90% accuracy? You're
yes,
at least
yes,
90% accurate, and I think that's really key, right, for anyone who's listening, because I think that's I used to work at a company called Pie Minister, so a bakery, but not the same as yours. But we were in all the major supermarkets, so we were in Tesco, Waitrose, Asda, all these guys, but we had restaurants as well. And I think our production was so important to us, getting it right and actually understanding the levels of production versus all the big macro factors that are out there that are going on in the world, plus what's going on locally. And I think we lived on spreadsheets. It was about 10 years ago probably. We lived on spreadsheets and we kind of got to a point, but it was so dangerous and so tricky. And when people left the company, they took that knowledge with them, which I found quite scary. And what about the relationship? Because you talked a bit before about support. Who wants to go first here? Laure. So in terms of working not just with lovely Italo here, but with anybody, what kind of support can you expect? Because when people hear AI, they just think they're going to be left for the bottom. You're going to run away. Is that right?
Yes. So I would differentiate the AI in the tool and the support by our teams. And actually, support is something that is essential for us and that has been taking a lot of space in the company from day one, because we know that inventory tools are boring, or people don't want to do their stock taking.
It's not the sexiest category, is it? However, your website looks, I think, looks amazing. You look like one of the POS guys, because they know how they have all the slick websites. But anyway, carry on, sorry.
And we know that if a tool is not well set up, when it comes to inventory, the data, then it's not accurate, and in time it's going to be less and less relevant, and it's going to generate frustration. So that's everything we want to avoid. We then invest a lot in support for our customers. So basically, we do all of the setup on our end. We ask the client to send us all of the data. We do the integrations with the POS, with the suppliers. We hand them in a platform that is customized 100% for their needs, and we also put a lot of effort in teams training. So we have a specific training for HQ teams on the analytics part. We have a specific training for field teams on very operational side of things. And we have regular checks with a dedicated expert account manager who will have weekly, then monthly, then quarterly calls with the clients to make sure that they do know how to use the platform, that they do know how to understand the data, and that they take the full advantage and results out of the product.
And I think, and from your side, I think having that comfort that someone is looking after you, not just from a product point of view, because the reason we started the podcast, right, was to meet people behind the product. It was all about understanding why they built it, what they do every day, that kind of thing. Because I think in your role, where I used to be, you're busy, right? You don't have time really to kind of spend investigating a product. So it's great to hear them when you're walking the dog, or whatever it might be, when we're doing the podcast. How important is the relationship for you outside of the tech in terms of the support?
I think it's crucial. I think one of the things that was incredible good from Inpulse was that every single company has this matter of when you sign the contract, they vanish.
Are you listening?
And then what happened with Inpulse, it was after everything was done and sign off, the contact became more and more constant, and then you have WhatsApp, you have emails, you have many ways to get in touch with them to get the answers that you want. I think the onboarding was slick, was no problem at all. All the data that they wanted and the information, they were very clear to it, and the availability from the account manager as well was always there. Any questions that we had, and either call in on the phone or send him an email. Sometimes you don't have the time to sit down and send an email, just call, and the answer is straightforward, and not waiting 2-3 days to get anything back to you, which is great.
And it's true, and as we mentioned, inventory, I don't want to say it's not sexy, I suppose it is, kind of in a weird way, but it's one. We have two major problems, right? People and food in our business, and they're the two biggest cost centers that we run. I think someone told me, we were on a panel with someone the other day, someone said basically 65-70% of our profit is gone on people and food. And if you're not taking that seriously, it blows my mind, because I'm just like, why would you let 35% of your business walk out the door without managing it, or at least trying to get it? Yeah, trying to get a closer grip on it. And I think I was interested in you do purchasing as well, right? You manage the purchasing side. How does that work? Because I think in my past career, again, matching invoices, cash. Oh my God, it was so messy, especially when you're working with a bakery or something, because you will work with suppliers who don't behave in an enterprise way. Mm-hmm. Suppliers will in Carluccio's, we had suppliers all over Italy, and they all behaved in a very Italian type way, right? They didn't want it. So how do you go about managing all the different suppliers, and how do you make their life a little bit easier?
Yes, great question. Thanks for hinting this module, because it's an essential module in our product. Basically, so thanks to the forecasting part, we're able to know exactly which quantities of products will be sold on a given day on a given store, and by doing the difference between what the restaurant has in stock and what he's going to be consuming in the coming 2 weeks, we can pre-fill an order recommendation with the right quantities. Of course, leaving the last touch for the manager to adapt the ordering sheet, but at least it's pre-filled, taking into account shelf lives, taking into account maximum and minimum limits of products to be ordered to the suppliers. And then we can send an order directly into the supplier system if we have an integration with the supplier, or by email. We can add a picture, add a comment. Everything is traced in the tool and centralized then in the back office.
And I love that. And you mentioned something which I'm big on, because you said about the human touch. And I think with AI, I think a lot of people are obsessing with it, like you said, and asking lots of questions about it, versus even 2 years ago. But actually, human plus AI, I think, is the right way to apply it in this industry anyway. Mm. And Laure just mentioned there that even though your order sheet will be populated for you, which is a godsend. I imagine
it's 80% of the
You're
job.
very lucky. I never had this.
In a way, one of the reasons why was that it with the time that they already have worked with the data, AI is very precise. So for us, it's a matter of looking at it. And the beginning was, okay, normally we used to order that much. So
that's what I'm saying. They're like, that's not right.
It is around that. So it's fine. And then you adapt, it's a Friday, it's a Saturday, that we are busier, and then we make a comment around it just so we remember why we made those changes. And then we go for it. And it cuts, 50% of the time of you remembering what's the consumption on next Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday.
And it must be a benefit also for the suppliers, right? Because suppliers can then predict what you're going to do, because without being rude to most of my hospitality friends, they're not very predictable and they're quite erratic because of the nature of the business, right? But I think having that kind of foresight for the supplier to say, okay, I know Italo's going to need X amount of this by this date, we'll need to ramp up or ramp down what we're doing. I just think that clarity helps business all across the board. So yeah, I think it's very cool. And talk me a bit, do you do so is it EDI I'm referring to, which is what does EDI say? Is it electrical delivery invoices?
Yes. Maybe.
Does that sound right? I made that up. But EDI is something that a lot of people have when they come through Tech on Toast, will get asked a lot of, does Inpulse do EDI? So they'll ask about it a lot.
And we're also able to give information regarding pricing, price evolutions, or availability of products, if we have these kind of integrations with suppliers.
So if one line might change, say onions change, the price.
The price has changed. We can see the evolution of prices in the past and on a daily basis as well. Wow. So coming to suppliers, it's interesting what you mentioned, because in fact at the beginning suppliers were reluctant to work with us. They saw us a bit as a competitor, which we were absolutely not. And now they want to work with us because they realize that the workflow is so easy. They just receive the order, it's correct. They have the reference from the client, they have the reference of the products, and they just ingest it in their system. And they save a lot of time and accuracy also themselves in the orders that they receive. So everyone wins.
I think suppliers used to have a dedicated individual for an account who would phone you or chase you on a Monday morning and say, you haven't placed this, you normally place this. And now AI is doing that for us, right? Which is just fantastic. What have been, I suppose, if you look at the whole product, you've kind of got one source of truth, I suppose, in terms of your delivery, your inventory, all in one place. What's been the biggest benefit for you, do you think, if you had to kind of, is it the time saving? What are you getting back from the product?
For us, the accuracy.
Yeah.
I think it's a time saving, yes, but then I think the accuracy of having enough always in place, which is, we don't have too much, we don't have too little. Having what is needed for the day of the week always in place, that's the most beneficial part of the system for us, because we had too much and then we waste some of it, or you have too little and you lose sales. And that's what we saw, that standardizing that amount of ingredients that we have to order through, not worry about that we'll have too little or too more or too much in it. That for us is crucial.
I mean, I think in labour, accuracy, everything, in food, it's absolutely. And as I said before, if you can't at least put that step in place, it makes your job very difficult.
For us, is even more important, because it's not something that we bake and leave it there.
Yeah,
it's baked nearly on demand. So the product that you get out there is the freshest product as possible. So for us, it's 48 hours to bake it and give it to our customers.
So your quality has to be like...
Yes. Yeah. So the ingredients and everything and the quantities needs to be always top.
I'm just disappointed you didn't bring a sample, I think it's just it's just rude, isn't it? I'm joking. And are you just once? Is it a single site?
We are now opening the third one in Greenwich. Nelson's Road will be by the end of this month. Next year we have plans of opening a bit more. I think by March we should have another one as well. So for now, 3.
Well, the reason I ask is that scale question, when you scale normally, so I opened 50 sites, I think it's a lot, at Carluccio's when we were in our growth space. And when you're scaling, technology has to come with you, or one of you gets left behind, right, and it doesn't go well. How do you plan, Laure? Because that's quite a big deal, right, to be able to help these guys as they grow. Obviously, they're a fan, which is good, and I think they're a fan because you're helping them. That's the real reason. How do you kind of ensure that when you get to scale these people, that you can stay on track and still deliver that accuracy that they love at the moment?
Mm-hmm. So we're actually experts in working with networks from 3 to hundreds of locations, and we see we see us as facilitating their growth, because basically they have a tool which centralizes all of their key data. The tool is super easy to use. It is used in all restaurants, and it streamlines operations in all of the restaurants. So everyone is going to be doing inventory the same way, recording waste the same way. And that's
so important. I know this sounds really obvious, right? But because you worked where was your former role?
Before I was at Zurich Group.
Okay, so right? So when you've got multiple brands, multiple locations, people, even though you've got the same tools, people do everything differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And I think I don't know why. It's just the nature of humans, right? We want to do it our way. And I think being able to be consistency leads to predictability, right? My first boss told me that, and I've never forgot it, because the more consistent you are, the more consistent and predictable your results become, and that's exactly what you're doing through tech, which I think sometimes in hospitality world, it's been quite hard to achieve because we're quite a weird industry to sell into. But I actually think what you're talking about here and that predictability for suppliers, for operators, for the tech people involved is really consistent, and that then helps everybody. I'm wrapping up a little bit, but when you get to I suppose 3, 4, 5, 6 sites, do you still envisage? Do you think the AI is going to get better? Do you think you're going to climb above 90%? Because I imagine AI is just going to keep advancing. So
I think that's the point. I think as more we use it, I think the team will be more confident with the tool, and then as well the numbers will get better and better and better. So we should get to a point that the
next step scheduling, Laure, right?
The manager will be just double checking it and doing any adaptation if needed, I think, because of events, or we do a lot of weddings and things, so whatever those comes, we add them to the system, and then you make a comment as to go. Those are the main thing, but I think the numbers will just getting better and better.
Awesome. And look, before I let you go, so if people have heard our chat and they are interested in meeting you guys, Laure, how do they get hold of you? What's the best way to find you guys?
Contact us, whether through our website or
Can they chase you on LinkedIn? Are you happy with that?
They can. I'll be super happy with that.
And very quickly, what's the difference? Is there a big difference between France and the UK? I know there is in terms of the restaurant scene, because it's more like mama and papa type restaurants in kind of independence. What's the big difference between the two, or when you're meeting brands like Italo?
Well, to be fair, I don't see a lot of difference. UK is more advanced in the networks part of...
So it's more scaled groups.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's more scaled, and you have more US-based brands entering into the European market through the UK. But in terms of dynamics, I would say it's the same. We all struggle with food costs. We all struggle with turnover. We all struggle with margins. So, the awareness and the topics that come to mind are the same. Yeah. And that's also why we are easily able to adapt our approach from France to the UK. Our product basically can be used in any language, time zone, or currency, and there is no regulatory issue in implementing the tool into another market. So very cool. Yeah. Yeah, I always say hospitality problems are evergreen, right? Doesn't matter where you are in the world, Brazil, France, wherever you are. Unfortunately, the two big costs that sit with us are never going to go away, right? And we just control them better. And what about you? Can we come and visit you? Can people come and find you? Yes. Where are your locations?
We have, the first one was open in Marble Arch in Condot Village. It's a very nice residential area. Yes. And the other one is in Killing Court.
Ah, okay.
In Soho. And the next one will be in Greenwich.
Very nice. Okay, well, look, he didn't bring his cheesecake, but I'm sure if you go and visit him and quote the podcast, he'll give you a little taster. But look, lovely to meet you both. Thank you very much for coming in. Enjoy the rest of your days in London, and I shall see you all soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. Thank you, Chris.